December in the early morning hours. On December 1st, 999, from the Furman house in Walsh, Oklahoma, two girls, Loria Jaylene Bible, born on April 3rd, 1984, and Ashley Rainey Furman, born on December 1983, were celebrating Ashley's birthday. Firefighters arrived at the house at 5:30 a.m. after a passerby reported a fire on December 3rd. After extinguishing the fire, they discovered the bodies of Dan Furman and his wife, Kath, both killed by close-range gunshot wounds. However, the police found no trace of the two girls, Loria and Ash. Who killed the couple? Where did the girls go? How did the fire start? Is there still hope of finding the girls alive? Welcome to another mysterious story on your channel. The mystery deepens as more than a year has passed since the girls' disappearance. Loria's family still awaits her safe return. Rosa Roderick, Loria's cousin, feels a heavy heart. She had seen Loria in a dream on her wedding day, walking down the aisle with her father. When the veil lifted, Loria's face was expressionless. Meanwhile, a fire broke out at the Furman house, and after extinguishing it, investigators discovered that it was an attempt to cover up the murder of Dan and Kath Furman. The girls were missing. Rumors circulated about the girls' abduction, and a new rumor implicated local outlaws and Mexican drug producers who had been left to their own devices. Loria's family took it upon themselves to find the girls and bring the perpetrators to justice. Let's rewind a bit to explore the close friendship between Loria and Ashley. They met in kindergarten and became inseparable over the years. Their bond was so strong that they seemed like twins, knowing each other's likes and dislikes. Loria led the cheerleading squad for the basketball team Ashley played on. On December 1st, Ashley invited her close friend Loria to spend the night at her house and celebrate her birthday. Loria's only request to her father was to return home by noon the next day. The father's last words to Loria before she left were, "I love you." The girls spent a wonderful evening eating pizza, ice cream, and watching a movie. Everything seemed perfect. However, an unknown figure had been watching the house from outside. The next morning, the neighbors reported a fire at the Furman house. The police arrived, and Loria's father confirmed that she had spent the previous night there. The house was completely destroyed. Amid the ashes, they found Kath Furman's body, wearing a ring on her left hand. She had been pregnant. But where were the parents, and where were the girls? As dawn approached, the parents returned to the crime scene, searching for clues. Loria's empty room faced her parents' room. The pain was unbearable. They didn't know where their daughter was. Was she hungry? Cold? Were they torturing her? The slow, exhausting hours passed. At dawn, the parents were back at the crime scene, searching for evidence. The mother believed the police had missed something due to the limited hours spent among the still smoldering ruins. And then, they saw something on the ground, a complete body amidst the debris. It was a man, but his face was entirely burned. The investigators confirmed that it was Dan Furman, Ashley's father and the homeowner. But how had the experts missed finding a complete body among the ashes? The news of the discovery didn't come from thin air. The search among the debris had not been thorough enough to match the magnitude of the crime. As the investigators returned to the crime scene, the mystery deepened once again. The townspeople discovered more evidence: Loria's bag, wallet, and an insurance card for a car registered under a stranger's name. When they presented this evidence to the chief investigator, he completely dismissed it, saying, "What makes you think this insurance card has anything to do with the investigation?" He turned away and walked off immediately. In reality, the discovery of Furman's body had deeply disturbed investigator Nader, who was convinced that Furman had killed his wife and abducted the girls. However, another theory emerged based on Furman's own words before the incident. 2 weeks prior, he had told Nader, "If I were to be killed, accuse the sheriff's office." Despite Nader's skepticism, he agreed to investigate with the sheriff and his deputies. They used a lie detector and successfully passed it, confirming their innocence. These developments significantly impacted the case. The bodies of Furman and the girls were found, and the sheriff's office was exonerated. Neither Nader's theory nor Duane's held true. The authorities claimed that the girls were responsible for the murders, but Loria's family and other townspeople who knew the girls disagreed. The girls had been missing, and they were not killers on the run. Loria's family printed posters with the girls' photos and hung them everywhere for miles. A whole year passed without any new developments. As New Year's approached, Loria's absence weighed heavily on her family. She loved decorating the Christmas tree for the holidays, and her parents decided not to put up the tree in her absence, hoping she would return. It felt like an endless and painful wait. Then, a new rumor circulated. Furman had amassed a large sum of money to sue the person responsible for his son's death. Allegedly, he began selling drugs and cultivating marijuana. According to the rumors, he owed a significant debt to a drug dealer and was killed, along with his wife, when their debt collectors came for the money. The police didn't buy this theory, as it seemed unlikely that they would kidnap children after killing Furman. Loria ignored her father's theory and managed to contact a high-ranking member of the local drug trade. She was willing to meet with them, even if her husband's family disagreed. The drug dealer warned her that it could be dangerous, but Loria persisted. She met the elusive man and asked him directly about the crime. He clearly stated that he did not kill women or children. His words convinced her. New rumors surfaced, claiming that the girls were being held captive and tortured. Desperate to find her daughter, Loria searched for Ashley relentlessly. The police received hundreds of tips and leads, but nothing panned out. Then, a new suspect emerged, Tommy Lynn Sells, a notorious serial killer from Oklahoma. Loria and her father were skeptical, as it would take more than one person to abduct the girls and burn down the house. However, after 5 years of no progress in the case, Nader had nothing to lose. The police took Sells to the location where Ashley and Laura's bodies were supposedly buried. Nader doubted the inmates' honesty, but after digging, they found only animal bones. It turned out that the remains belonged to an animal, not a human. Nader had one last task before withdrawing from the case. Another serial killer, Jeremy Jones, who hailed from Oklahoma. Loria and her father didn't believe that Jones was responsible, as it would require more than one person to kidnap the girls and burn down the house. Loria was right. The investigation revealed that Jones was not involved. The case remained stagnant. In December 2001, the Christmas tree still stood, waiting for Loria's return, but after 10 long years, it finally fell. The family struggled to accept the reality that Loria and Ashley might have been killed. A new sheriff, Keith Winfrey, took over the investigation in Gregg County. As they sifted through old evidence boxes, Winfrey discovered overlooked clues and documents. This renewed hope of finding answers about what happened to Loria and Ashley. Responses: the investigation in Gregg County continued. As they sifted through old evidence boxes, Sheriff Heath Winfrey discovered overlooked clues and documents that had been set aside and forgotten by the previous team. This revelation renewed hope of finding answers about what happened to Loria and Ashley. Agent Tammy Ferrari, a new recruit in the Oklahoma Bureau of Investigation, was assigned to search through the evidence box. She found a reference to an insurance card for a car discovered in the burned-down house. By tracing the owner of this card, the police finally confirmed the validity of the blurred images. Not only had the owner seen the girls, but he was also a friend of David Pennington, one of the 3 people who distributed the photos. 2 of the 3 individuals were deceased, but one remained alive, Ronnie Busick. People described him as extremely dangerous, and he was part of a drug ring connected to Mexican drug dealers. Loria learned that the 2 people who claimed to have seen the photos were terrified of Busick. Convicting him based on their testimony alone was challenging. Undeterred, Loria created a social media campaign and appeared on television, urging these individuals to come forward and testify. Fortunately, they did, and most of them were former friends or relatives of the three men. They all remembered taking pictures of the girls and confirmed that they were alive for several days after the incident. On the day Ronnie Busick was released from prison in Kansas, Agent Ferrari was waiting with a warrant for his arrest from the Oklahoma Bureau of Investigation. She questioned him, and he confessed to the crime. However, he was keen to shift the blame onto his deceased accomplices. According to his account, the three of them went to Danny and Kathy Freeman's home to collect a drug debt. When Danny resisted, things escalated quickly. The couple was killed, and the girls were abducted. The three criminals took them to another criminal, Phil Welch's house, where they were held, tortured, and eventually killed. The bodies were disposed of after a deal with the police to reduce Busick's sentence. He received a 10-year sentence, of which he served only 1 month due to good behavior. Was the plea deal fair? Dear viewers, share your opinions in the comments below, and don't forget to support us with likes and subscribe to the channel for more updates. Stay tuned. And now this is the second story. Samantha Woolford was born in 1984. She was the eldest daughter among 3 children and gave birth to twins while still in high school. In the same year, Samantha met Bernie Ibarra at a wig shop and also gave birth to twins from him. By the time she reached adulthood, she had already given birth to her 5th child. Among family and friends, she was known for her desire for fame. She had a YouTube channel and dreamed of becoming a famous actress. However, the only fame she received was due to being accused of kidnapping and killing her husband. How did Samantha transform from a mother and wife to a suspect? Why was she accused of such a crime? Is she truly a criminal or a victim? We'll find out in today's episode. Early in the morning on April 6, 2004, Samantha's mother received a distressing call from her daughter. Samantha said that strangers had broken into her house and kidnapped her husband, Ernie. She could barely be heard as she mentioned being bound and terrified to an extent she had never felt before. Samantha's mother, Rosie, immediately called her sister, Ginger, who lived nearby. When Ginger arrived at Samantha's house, she found her tied up and gagged on the upper floor. Even her feet were bound. Ginger called the police, and within minutes, they arrived at the scene. Prior to the alleged abduction, Ernie worked 2 jobs to support their family of 7. In the morning, he worked at a company producing nicotine and tobacco products, and at night, he worked at Little C's Pizza. Samantha believed that starting a YouTube channel would provide them with good additional income and fulfill her dream of fame. She passionately discussed her personal life and the challenges she faced as a mother of 5. Gradually, her YouTube channel became the center of Samantha's life, and she began neglecting her husband and young children. She always sought attention and enjoyed sharing details of her personal life, thinking others might be interested. According to her sister-in-law, Abigail, Samantha wanted online fame at the expense of her family. Her husband didn't approve of this, and they argued about it. After marrying, Samantha's husband, Ernie, adopted the online persona Avatar from a video game to compensate for his lack of playtime. In the end, their marriage didn't last long. During a search of their home, investigators noticed signs of physical struggle, including blood on the wall. Samantha tearfully recounted how intruders had attacked her and taken Ernie to the basement. They forced her to kneel and look at him, seemingly mocking her. Samantha's emotional testimony was captured on camera. She claimed the abduction occurred around 1 a.m. What could Ernie have done to provoke such an attack? This question remained unanswered. As part of the investigation, Ernie was brought in for questioning and eventually arrested. A protective order was issued against him by an emergency judge. Ernie's family insisted that the accusations against him were false. Meanwhile, after the alleged kidnapping, Samantha claimed that her problems with Ernie were a thing of the past. According to Wayne Miner, a detective in Titus County, Samantha had already painted a beautiful, rosy picture for the investigators. When asked if the intruders mentioned a reason for their actions, Samantha said they sought revenge against her father, who had once put one of them in jail. This was their way of getting back at him. As investigators followed the threads Samantha provided, they noticed discrepancies between her account and the apparent crime scene. The violence inflicted on Ernie seemed inconsistent with her description. A person beaten so severely with a gun but would likely have more blood, and the location should have shown signs of struggle. Samantha's claim that they all wore black, even their shoes, didn't match the evidence. Dr. Kath Coleman, the psychiatrist, believed Samantha saw herself as an actress, but she overestimated her acting abilities. The investigators easily saw through her deception. When asked about the day before the incident, Samantha mentioned visiting a friend in the hospital. Samantha gave birth, and during the investigation, she began telling Detective Cole a new story. She recalled the man she met yesterday named Johnny Reap, who might be the perpetrator. Samantha claimed that she met Johnny at the hospital and offered him a ride in her car to take his friend home. She had informed Johnny about Ernie's alleged mistreatment, which upset him. According to her account, Johnny said he would take care of it. When the investigators asked her how she reacted when he said that, she laughed, thinking he was joking. The investigators traced Ernie's phone, and around 1:30 a.m., they received a call near Best Bridge in Texas. However, they couldn't pinpoint his location, and the signal was lost later. Authorities discovered that Johnny Reap's real name was Jonathan Kyle Stanford, a young man recently released from prison. Samantha claimed that she received a text message from him just now, and the investigators rushed to apprehend him. Stanford was arrested along with Jose Antonio Bonds, a 30-year-old man. They were both charged with kidnapping, according to the local CBS-affiliated KITV channel. During questioning, Stanford revealed the events leading up to their crime. He had met Samantha a few days ago at the hospital through his friend, Charlotte Kemp, who had just given birth. Samantha told him about Ernie's alleged mistreatment, and Stanford offered to help her. He thought she seemed like a good person and wanted to relieve her suffering from her husband. She also informed him about how Ernie treated the children. After Ernie's abduction, they took him to the woods, killed him, and left his body there. To assist Stanford, Bonds, and another friend, Octavius Lamar Rames, were recruited. Initially, they planned to plant methamphetamine in Ernie's truck and report him for drug possession. However, they decided that killing Ernie would be easier. Stanford, Bonds, and Rames smoked the methamphetamine they bought, and after assaulting Ernie, they took him to a remote area in the neighboring Camp County, Texas. There, Bonds shot him in the back of the head. Despite multiple blows to his head and face, it was the gunshot that caused his death. Stanford helped the investigators locate Ernie Ibra's body. As they recovered it, the charges against Stanford and Bonds were upgraded to include murder. Later, authorities discovered the text messages Samantha sent to Rames. While tracking Ernie's phone, the investigators read the following: "Destroy Ernie's phone. Turn it off. Get rid of the phone." Samantha downplayed her involvement, claiming she only complained about Ernie's treatment and never expected it would lead to his death. The police were skeptical of her statements, considering the crime scene and the fact that the children remained asleep during the attack despite the violence she described. Additionally, she called her mother instead of emergency services. Samantha justified this by saying she was bound and made the call with her nose. She also changed her story about the possibility of the crime being revenge against Ernie's father. The investigators then explored Stanford's entirely different account. However, The incriminating text messages she sent to Rames proved that she was aware of what happened and likely the mastermind behind the crime. Samantha Woolford was arrested and charged with kidnapping and murder. Octavius Lamar Rames faced similar charges for events in February. Both Jonathan Sanford and Jose Antonio Bonds admitted their guilt in April. Sanford and Bonds were sentenced to 51 years in prison each. In December of the same year, Rames was tried for all the charges against him and received a 41-year prison sentence. Samantha Woolford was tried for Ernie Ibra's murder in September and was convicted, receiving consecutive sentences of 81 years for kidnapping and 12 1-year for abduction. What do you, our dear viewers, think? Do you believe Samantha was truly involved in the crime, and does she deserve the punishment handed down? Share your opinions in the comments below, and don't forget to support us with likes and subscribe to the channel for more updates. Stay safe